Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday Live. So, today we are looking at rusty backgrounds. So, stay with me, and of course, please drop a comment and let me know you're here. And I'm super excited to be sharing with you again this Friday. So, of course, over the last 3 days, if you didn't know, I've had Powertex Asia here in the studio with me, and it has just been the most superb time. We've had a lot of laughs and we've learned a lot from each other, and it has just been such a fabulous cultural art exchange. So, a big shout out to all the ladies that joined me from Powertex Asia, and wishing you safe travels on your journey to Tasmania today. So, welcome to Australia. And I hope you're watching Friday Live because rusty powder, of course, is fantastic for Australian colours. And what we've been playing with over the last few days is creating an interpretation of the Australian landscape. So it has been a lot of fun, and the girls have gone away inspired to create lots more. And so it has, like I say, been great. And of course, another element that they could take into their artwork when they go back to Taiwan is the beautiful rusty powder. So I love using rusty powder. It does take a little bit of a knack to get used to. And so today I'm going to share tips and tricks on how you can get different colours and different effects. Now, of course, you can also watch the video on YouTube, which is how to use what is rusty powder, I should say. And that is just full of lots and lots of tips and tricks, and just gives you information. So if you haven't watched that one and you love rust, you will love watching that. So let's go. Let's take a look at the art table, and I will just pop us down there so that we can see. So I have some artwork here, which is, of course, using the rusty powder. So what I do love to do is I love to create a dark background that I then create the rust effects on. So the first layer that I put down, remembering that I always say it is all about the layers, is I usually put down the I usually put down the black Powertex first. And then if I want a turquoise background, which of course the blue is actually going to contrast the orange colours of the rust, then I actually put down ivory Powertex and put the Vista on, and I get these beautiful turquoise colours in the background, and then allow that to dry. Then I add my rusty layers on top of that. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is how to get these beautiful different rust effects. So you can see that this one here actually is it's a lot darker. It's got like almost a beautiful deep red color. Isn't that gorgeous? And so look at the orange of this layer, and you can see how it's really contrasting with the turquoise effect. And look at this structure. So the structure that you can create with Powertex art supplies is just beautiful. And so when you are creating structure for your artwork, it is just really superb. So welcome to everyone, and thank you for watching. And it is really fantastic to have you here. And these are, I'll just hold up another couple of artworks. So this one, again, you can see the different rust effects. This one actually has some 3D flecks on it. So you can see it's got that sort of crackled effect. So next week I will be showing you how to create beautiful crackled effects with 3D flex. So that would just be another layer that you actually put on before putting your rusty powder on. So generally, if I'm going to add 3D flex, I'll add it onto my black canvas first, and then I will let it crack, and then I'll do my beautiful turquoise coloured layers and then my rusty layers. So good morning, Beth. Wonderful to have you join me on Friday Live. And of course, I have been a bit busy this week, so the post went up a bit late. It went up this morning, so it's lovely that you're here. So that's Beth from the Art Creatives in Balcatta. So welcome. So again, you can see some of the different textured effects, and I'll show you some work with 3D Flex next week. But this week, of course, we are focusing on that beautiful rust. So let's get cracking. I can bring up a couple of backgrounds that are possibilities. And then I've got one that I particularly just want to have a go at. So I might as well have a go at it right here and today. So you can see this one is actually working with the 3D Flex again. So you can see that it's a black background layer, and then I've put the 3D Flex on, and I have actually sprayed this one with Vista. So it's got some nice background colours. You know, I could take the turquoise layer onto this and then do my rust. I could just take rust straight on. So I just had a little bit of a look around at what I had in the studio. That was some samples. And again, this one has just some really lovely textured layers already. And so I can actually pop on some beautiful orange layers of rust. So if you love rust and you love that effect in your artwork, the rusty powder is just absolutely gorgeous. So you are going to love this. So what I thought I'd do is while Powertex Asia was here, I created a background. And so I thought I would throw some rusty colour onto this. So, and see what happens. And then next week I can show you how it has actually activated. Because it does take around about, I might just go to that other one again. Pop that there. Okay. So I think that's better. I think you can see it more easily. So this is obviously a layer. So I think people get too judgmental too early with their artwork, and they go, oh, you know, it's not really working, or it wasn't what I imagined, or they try and do everything in one go and one layer. In order to get the layers happening really, really well, what you want to do is you want to give yourself permission to create step by step, allow your layers to dry, and don't judge your artwork too early. It's about being experimental, giving yourself permission to play, and just having fun with the process. And as I was saying earlier, I have had Powertex, the girls from Powertex Asia, in the studio with me, and one of their biggest takeaways was, you know, to really focus on the process and the journey of creating an artwork, and not be too worried about the end product, and allow that to take care of itself in the process of actually creating. And this actually frees you up to be more creative, and giving yourself permission to play, you'll discover so much more. So there's a little tip for the day. Give yourself permission to play. So welcome to everyone. Everyone's popping in now and saying hello. So it's really lovely. Thank you for all being here, because of course, you know, if you weren't here, then there's no point me doing this. So even if you're watching in replay, please do leave me a comment, and of course, make sure you like the video as well if you have loved it. So I love texture in paintings. Robin from the USA is here, welcome. And Beth's just saying that she's still getting her head around the order of layers. And so it's actually really useful what I'm talking about in terms of layering up the canvases and the textures. And Karen is here. So Karen Ridley, textile artist, she was on with us for an interview the other week. So, of course, if you did miss that interview with Karen, her artwork is beautiful. So she's located over in Victoria and in the beautiful Latrobe Valley and is running workshops over there now. But that interview is definitely worth watching. She tells the story behind her artwork. So be sure to check her out as well as some of the others that I've been mentioning. So what we have here is we have some layers of texture just created with cardboard, and then I've actually put down ivory Powertex. I've just highlighted the top layers, and then I've sprayed Vista, and I've actually used vinegar to activate this beautiful turquoise colour with the vistas. So it seems that the difference in the pH levels actually really makes the vista colours a lot brighter, and I just love playing with that. So that's what I've done so far. Is it a masterpiece? Hell no. Has it been fun? Oh yeah. So and is it going somewhere? Most definitely. So I'm just now going to throw some rusty colours at it and see what happens. And then if I'm not happy with this layer or it's unfinished, I can still go back and I can do more layers. The other thing that I have done on my Vista is I have actually sprayed the new Powder Fix. And what the Powder Fix does is it actually fixes any of the products that are going to move because then they may not be fully sealed on the surface of your canvas. So it's I'll talk about it another time. Otherwise, I won't get any rust done. But it is really, really useful for when you're working with vistas and also the liquid powers. So I will probably talk about it when I'm actually doing a Friday live where I am focusing on vistas. All right, so let's get cracking. So, of course, what I have got here is I've got rusty powder from Powertex Art Supplies. And if you don't know, I am obviously a mixed media artist. I love creating. And I'm also the importer of Powertex for Australia. And the reason I import Powertex is because I love using it in my artwork to create texture. So you need some rusty powder. I have got some 3D sand here. You can't really see it very well, but that comes in some little bottles, and you can get sand and balls as well. So there is a little tester pack that has the sand. It's got the small balls. It's got the medium balls and also the large. So it's actually a really nice little pack of stuff that you can actually add to your Powertex to create a bit more texture. So I'll be adding some of those in. And of course, I will be using the sand that is also in that actual pack. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. I love experimenting. I love playing. And I've got some ivory Powertex out, and I've got some transparent Powertex out. Plus, I went, I wonder what would happen if I take some different coloured sands into it while I'm mixing it up as well. So I thought we'd have a play with that today too. So taking risks in your artwork is a really good way to really learn what works and what doesn't. If you're not prepared to take risks and have some level of failure or something not work out properly, then you won't take that really big leap forward in your artwork. So that quantum leap where you really make a very cool discovery that you can use in other works because you know that that's going to happen. Alrighty, so let's go. I'm just going to use a palette. I've got a few palette knives here, and we'll put some ivory because I do love the ivory. Now, I can mix this up in a cup. I can mix it on the palette like I'm doing. I just think for ease for you guys, you can actually see what's going on a lot better than if I mixed up somewhere else. So what we want is we want sort of a mousy grey colour. If it's too light, and this is really, really important, if it's too light, it's not going to change colour and you'll end up with this really grey colour on your artwork. So this is where it just takes a little bit of getting used to how much is enough, how much is too much. And of course you also spray vinegar to actually activate the powder. So I tend to do it by intuition and by sort of what I know has worked. So if you watch my videos, and especially, like I say, that what is rusty powder video, and I think there's another one, how to use rusty powder, that I did a little while ago, you'll see the sort of depth of colours that you need. And of course you're watching today, so you can just sort of get an idea of how I sort of develop this process. Okay, so this is now mixed up. I can take some vinegar into that mix. It is going to make it quite runny. So it's a mix of vinegar and water. So I've ended up using white vinegar here in Australia, and I've mixed a 50-50 mix of vinegar and water. And I will continue spraying and activating that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a layer of this onto here. And so what's going to happen, hopefully, is the layer of rust that I've just put down will actually go an orangey colour. So then we can, I'll shoot down to the art table so that you can see a bit of a wider dimension. Okay, so then we want to add some more bits and pieces. And this is where it becomes a lot of fun. Hey, Judith, lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining. And so I'm going to take some more ivory, some more rusty powder, and this time I'm going to put some of the sand into it. Mix it up, spray it with some vinegar. And make it pasty. Okay, it's still pretty light. As I say, if it's too light, you're not actually going to have that beautiful orange colour. And if you put too much, make it too dark, then it sort of goes black. So you do have to remember it does take sort of 24 hours to fully activate. So if you've got beautiful orangey colours coming through straight away, sometimes they go really, really dark. So Judith, I did just mention the proportion of vinegar to water. So here in Australia, I use a white vinegar, and I use about 50% vinegar to water. So it varies depending on the strength of the vinegar. So it partly really is just a case of testing what works. So I'm just going to make this a bit more pasty. It'll be fun. That's what we want, to have some fun. So that's quite dry, so I'll spray some more vinegar and water on it. It's going to activate the rust. There is Powertex in the mix, so the Powertex will bind it. As you can see, is happening now. Ooh, fun. You see how it's going really pasty? That's looking really like good fun. And I'll put a bit more rust in it. You're welcome. Please do ask questions as you go. It's more interesting for me to answer some questions as we progress. So, yeah, make sure you're asking questions, because that's what I'm here for, live. And, you know, I can answer them, and any questions that you do have or anything you're stuck with. Ooh, looking lovely. Okay, I'm just going to pop a little bit more vinegar. It's perfect consistency. I'm loving the texture of this. And so what I'm going to do now is I could actually, if I wanted more texture, that's where I could put something else into the mix. I'll just put a little bit more sand in because it has dried up a little bit. Gone a bit slushy. I wanted a bit more pasty. There we go. Look at that. Lovely and pasty and textural. And look at what I could do. So I could get as dimensional as I like with this. And so let's just pop some of that on to here. Hang on. Well, I want to turn my board around. Hang on, I'll just move my board. This is something I do quite a lot. Don't want this on here. Bet that one that it goes orange just to. So remember I said I've sealed this vista with the powder fix. So that does mean that I can wipe it back without it reactivating the vista, which is awesome. So the reason I've turned it around is because I actually want to get a nice sort of textured edge along this top surface. And sometimes when you're moving your arm, it's just kind of easier. All about play. So now you can see I've got that sort of runny mix underneath some of it. I've got some of the original white coming through, and I've got some of this really nice thick mix happening. And so we can put, I might just put a bit more up here. Okay. Now, then if I want to, I can actually take some of my sand and balls in. And the nice thing with these balls is that they actually are quite porous. And so what happens is there's almost like a capillary action that actually sucks up the rust. And so the balls themselves sometimes actually go really rusty, which is very cool. So like I say, it just depends what you've done in your experimentation. So I can also, of course, if I wanted to, I could put some more, like I could put some of the seedy bits in. So I'll put some of those into this sort of runny mix that's happening down here, and we can see what happens with that. And we can put some into this mix up the top here. And pop some in here. All right, fun and games. So let the games begin. Now, I have got some more of this pasty bit. So I'm going to take it down here onto this turquoise layer. Yep, don't want to flatten it off really. Now, my hope is that this actually does go orange, because then it's going to contrast really beautifully with that turquoise layer that's there. And I want it to sort of look more random than bricked. So I've sort of flattened that off. And if that goes orange and we have success, that should look pretty awesome with that blue coming through, especially here. I'll hold it up for you so you can see some of what I've just done. And so what I'm saying is, if this goes orange here, where the grey is, it's going to really be a beautiful contrast against that turquoise colour. And here as well, so you can see some of these shapes in here are really nice. So, and then you can see some of the dimension that has been created there. If you tap your board, it actually helps those sand and balls to actually sink in. And then, of course, we can play some more. So, Judith, this one is actually a board, but I work on all sorts of surfaces. So you can see that this one is actually canvas. This is just a little canvas, but it's a really nice little one because it's got so many different effects. So this was actually just a sample piece that I did. And, you know, you can see how the rust has actually bled into some of the ivory there. So it just worked really well, this particular one. And you can see the gorgeous Vista colours that I've got underneath. So it is all about the layers, whether it's canvas or wood, whatever you want to work on, you can work on. And, of course, for our fibre artists, go, you know, try using your Powertex with your fibres and fabrics and then rusting it and actually have a play with what you can do. So I find with the Powertex art supplies, it's really about understanding the different mediums and then going, what can I do with it? And what would happen if I did that? Or I wonder, you know, and just really asking yourself the question and then going, okay, let's just try it and see what happens, and really give yourself permission to experiment. Okay, so which is what we'll do now. So I'll throw some rusty powder in there, but I thought I'd also throw a little bit of, now this is going to throw my colour out, so I might just mix my rusty powder up first. And I've got no idea how this will turn out. So, because I actually haven't added natural soil ochres to my rust yet, which, yes, that is surprising because it seems like a no-brainer, right, to actually play with, you know, different, just going to put more in here. Not only different textures, but, you know, different colours as well. So it might be interesting to use that with the transparent as well, because, of course, your transparent is going to give you more translucency, whereas your ivory is going to give you more of that sort of super orange colour. Oops. Well, there we go. Now we really, truly have a lot of that. So I will take some transparent Powertex, add that into the mix. Who loves playing and discovering while they're creating? So it's such a fun part of the art process, and yeah, just that whole discovery and play is awesome. So I'm just going to put a little bit more rusty powder in here, and then we do need to spray it with a bit of vinegar. We've got plenty of Powertex that is actually binding it in there. We've actually got a mix of ivory and transparent, so like I say, it will be interesting to see how this one comes up. So sometimes on the back of my as I go, even, or on the back of my canvases, I'll actually write notes on what I've done, and then I find that helpful if something works really well to actually be able to repeat the process. Okay, let's show you. So it's looking pretty goopy and textured. And let's just put some of that on. I might actually put a little bit of the sand into it as well, so why not, right? Make it a bit more pasty and rocky. Karen's just saying, definitely play often as it leads to amazing creations. Glad you're enjoying it, Judith. So what's even more fun is to play along. So my hope is that what I'm doing with you today will actually inspire you to get creative over the weekend. Inspire you to creativity. Ooh. Lovely and rocky. Let's put a little bit up here as well. So up here I'll be able to see the different layers and what actually happens, because I've got all the layers going on up here. Okay, so we've used that. Get in and just mush that around a bit more. Pick up some of those rocks and pop them. Lovely, good fun. So yes, like I was saying, I hope this inspires you to playing with rusty powder over the weekend. If you haven't got any, you will find it in the Powertex shop if you're here in Australia. And if you are not in Australia, then you will find it. Just going to pour a little bit of transparent Powertex onto this bit here. You will find it in your country. So find your supplier, or if you've got a trainer near you who runs workshops, you can also get your Powertex art supplies from them. So, which is super duper. All right, there we go. Right, shall we try something else? Let me just show you. Now you can see sort of some different colours, different layers. It does look goopy grey, but the plan is that all those goopy grey areas will actually go orange. And because we've done different things, they should have different colours of orange. So it should be super interesting. Okay, I have got some easy structure here. It is an older, easy structure, and it is actually quite hard. So the easy structure is absolutely gorgeous. I'm out of stock at the moment in Australia. I can let you know it's going to be wonderful because the stock will be arriving in August. So if you've been looking and going, oh, when are we getting more stuff? It is on its way. So you can see this one has lost its creaminess, but I figured because we're going to be adding some vinegar and water and some rust, we can maybe just make it work. So see what we can do with our old texture paste and whether we can make this work for us, even though it's sort of lost its kind of its flexibility. So that is really going to be quite interesting. Look at that. I'm loving how that's actually going. And we'll pop some rusty powder, of course, into that mix as well. So if this works, then won't this be a fantastic way to use any old structure paste that you've got that maybe is too hard to use through your stencils or for anything else? Okay, and I might actually also put some transparent Powertex in that just because I can, and it will create a little bit of a binder. And it's also, again, going to make that structure paste a little bit more flexible. Yum. Fun and games, fun and games. Throw our rusty powder in there because, of course, if you forget to put the rusty powder in, it's not actually going to do anything. Superb. So this is a really good grey colour. I'm very hopeful that this structure paste is going to work beautifully. Now, just a little tip for you. I find that with your orange, if you want your orange colours, I find when I use the ivory Powertex, I get more beautiful orange layers. When I use the transparent Powertex, I tend to get darker, sort of darker layers. So it goes, you know, more translucent and kind of darker. Okay, there's our structure. We could even put a little bit of sand into that if we want, because it has gone, you know, a little bit sloppy again. Look at that. That is now, the structure paste is normally creamy like this. And so this has beautiful texture now that will, you know, would actually hold. So let's get some of that down. I'm going to pop it on this front area here. It really shouldn't have done that. Just pick it up again. Oh. Look at me go. I'm kind of liking those loopy layers. Turn around. Okay, so you get the general gist. Sort of anything goes. So have a play. You just need to make sure that you have got the vinegar and the rusty powder in the mix, because the vinegar actually activates the rust, and the rusty, of course, will only happen if you've got the rust powder in it. So we can also actually keep spraying some vinegar. It's not wanting to spray very well. Onto that, and I can sort of spray some vinegar sort of until it really is doing some nice activation of colour. Okay, so I've just wet that layer so that the rust that is actually in there can actually, you know, start coming out to play. The other thing that you can play with is you can also play with getting some more of the rusty powder and actually popping it onto some of those wet layers. Dry one here. So what this will do is it will just give us some variation in colour. So some of it would be darker, some of it would be more intensely orange, some of it will be, you know, a bit lighter orange, or even that lovely yellow ochre colour that you kind of get. Okay, so I'll just hold that up a bit closer so you can see what I've done. So you can see that I've just put some actual rust directly onto the surface that I've already created, and then I can actually spray it with a bit more vinegar, and it's going to create kind of rivers of that rust that I've just put down there. Okay, so you can see it's creating real rivulets in that turquoise. So my hope is that I get, you know, some different things happening with the turquoise layer. Now, of course, you can also just use transparent, and I haven't done that yet, so we'll pop a bit of transparent down, and we'll pop some rust into there. So Judith is just asking, can the Powertex products work with acrylic paint or even watercolour? Because the Powertex products are all water-based, you can actually use the Powertex with acrylic paints and watercolour. So you can really experiment with your mixed media and see what happens when you mix things up, which is super. Okay, so that's got the vinegar, it's got the transparent Powertex, and so we can just take some of this and we can just dribble it on as another layer over the top of hopefully you know, something interesting will happen. And I'll put it somewhere where there's nothing else happening underneath it, so we can see what happens in those sections as well. Okay, now I could just keep playing to my heart's content. I can get some, you know, like I could pour some transparent Powertex onto some of this. Just fun, just to see what happens. And of course, I have got it out. So obviously the transparent is going to dry clear. And this is my vinegar and water mix. So I don't want everything to go super sloppy. But it's kind of fun to get these, see these areas like this. If that really activates it, it will look really, really cool. Okay. And don't mistake your ivory Powertex for transparent. So I hope you enjoyed that bit of fun. And I'll just shoot over to the main screen again. So, of course, what we are hoping for is for some beautiful rusty colours. I'll just bring that up on here. So we really want to get, this is actually, like I said at the beginning, where I've used the transparent and the rust, and look at that beautiful deep red colour. This is actually using some ivory Powertex, so you get that more intense orange, and this is where it's just bled experimentally into the background layers, and this is where I've got transparent Powertex on the top of some of those blues, and it's actually activated, you know, it's just sort of layered over the top of the vista to make it more interesting. So I have got some puddles happening here, whereas I had some really nice things happening before in that blue layer. So what I would do is just move it around a little bit so it's less puddly and it gets more interesting again. So we'll see what happens with that, and hopefully we get some beautiful rust colours for me to show you next week. So I hope that has inspired you to create with Powertex. And I absolutely love the Powertex art supplies because there are just so many possibilities of what you can do with them. And of course, Judith, because you, you know, you can see the it's water-based. You can use it with any water-based mediums as well. Tied my own tongue up there. So Judith is just saying she'd love to see the final transformation. Will I post it, and how long will it take to fully cure? So essentially, I'll probably show it on Friday Live next week. If I get really excited about it, I might pop a post up just with how it does actually turn out. So have fun. If you want some rusty powder to have a play with, then get shopping. And of course, you will need some Powertex transparent, some Powertex ivory, some modelling paste. It could be any modelling paste, but I do love our Easy Structure from Powertex Art Supplies. It is just gorgeous. It really holds its structure well. If you've got old modelling paste, use it up, have a play, see what happens. And what else? Oh, get yourself one of those starter packs of sand and balls. They are fantastic, and they actually fill up those little containers that I was showing you before. So they're a lot of fun to play with. And do you know, I've got to tell you that when I first got those into Australia, I went, oh, who on earth is ever going to buy sand and balls? Because I use, you know, a lot of textures from the natural environment in with the Powertex. And I went, oh, I don't need those. But what I do love with them, particularly when I'm using rust, is the fact that they are porous and they do get that capillary action. So they actually suck the rust up and they become rusty in the sand and balls. So it can be super, super fun. Okay, everyone, don't forget to watch next week for Friday Live, and next week I'll be showing you textured backgrounds using Easy 3D Flex. And in August, at the beginning of August, we've got Beth Harcourt coming on, so I'll be talking more about that with you. So Beth is a new certified Powertex trainer in Balcatta, WA, and she has a gorgeous studio there and is really doing some outside of the square stuff that I can't wait to share with you. So stay tuned for that. Watch on Friday Live. If you can't watch it live, that's okay. You can always watch it in replay. And there's loads of other small videos, helpful things, especially the playlist, What Is, tells you about the different products. So I'm here to help you. Join us in the Powertex Australia Creative Hub if you want to share and connect with us. And if you've got any questions, you can ask them there. So it's a wonderful community of like-minded artists who love creating texture and love Powertex art supplies. So we will see you again next week, same time, 10 o'clock. And to Powertex Asia, I hope you have a wonderful time for the rest of your trip. And it was my pleasure and privilege having you here in the studio with me. So enjoy creating and go crazy, everyone. Have a wonderful creative weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.